Imagine this. Someone asks you a simple question in English. You understand every word. You know the answer. You may even have the perfect answer somewhere in your mind, but when you open your mouth, nothing comes out. Your mind goes blank, your heart starts beating faster, and suddenly you feel as if you do not know English at all.
Then, 5 minutes later, you think of the exact sentence you wanted to say. It sounds clear, natural, and surprisingly easy. And you ask yourself, where was that sentence when I needed it?
If you often think, I understand English but can't speak, this episode is for you. That frustrating gap does not mean you are bad at English. It usually means your understanding and your speaking ability have received different kinds of training.
Today, we are going to explain why that happens and how you can begin fixing it with practical speaking habits. We will also give you natural phrases to use when you need more time, when you forget a word, and when you want to express an idea without creating a perfect sentence.
Welcome to Beyond English Class. I'm Jordan.
And I'm David. Jordan, this problem is extremely common. Some learners can understand an entire movie, attend a university lecture, or follow a meeting at work. Then someone says, "What do you think?" And suddenly they can only say, "Yes, good."
And sometimes, yes, good does not even answer the question.
True, but under pressure, it can feel like the safest answer in the world.
Let's begin with the first reason this happens. Understanding and speaking are not the same mental activity. When you listen, the words come to you. You recognize their meaning. When you speak, you must find the words yourself, arrange them, pronounce them, and decide whether they fit the situation. You must do all of that in real time.
So recognition is easier than retrieval. Recognition means I see or hear this word and I know it. Retrieval means I need this word now, so I must find it without seeing or hearing it first.
Think of your English knowledge as a large library. When you listen, someone shows you a book and asks, "Do you recognize this?" You probably do. But when you speak, someone asks you to find one specific book from thousands of books, and they're waiting at the front desk.
And somehow the lights in the library turn off at that exact moment.
Especially when you feel nervous. This is our central image for today. Your words may already be inside your library. The problem is that you have not practiced finding them quickly enough.
That distinction matters because many learners respond to speaking problems by increasing their listening. They watch more videos, listen to more podcasts, and learn more vocabulary. Those activities are useful, but they mainly continue filling the library.
To become a better speaker, you must also practice taking the books off the shelves. In other words, you need active recall. You need opportunities to produce English without first seeing the answer.
I once met a university student who understood almost everything her professor said. She read difficult articles, took detailed notes, and earned good grades on written assignments. But after class, if a professor asked her a casual question, she froze.
What kind of question?
Something as simple as, "How is your research going?" She understood the question immediately, but she started searching for a perfect academic answer. While she was mentally building that answer, the silence became uncomfortable. Finally, she said, "It is going."
That is not grammatically wrong, but it probably didn't express everything she wanted to say.
Not even close. Later, she explained that she had wanted to say, "It's going well, but I'm still having trouble organizing the data." She knew every word in that sentence. She simply had never practiced answering that question aloud.
Her turning point was surprisingly small. Before meeting her professor, she practiced 3 possible answers to common questions. She didn't memorize a long speech. She just prepared flexible starting points, such as, "It's going well, but," and "I'm making progress, although." After a few weeks, she still paused sometimes, but she stopped going completely blank. She had created a clear path to those useful books in her mental library.
This leads to our first practical teaching point. Do not only study words, practice retrieving them through questions. If you learn vocabulary about work, don't just review a list. Ask yourself, what are you working on this week? Then answer aloud.
If you're learning travel English, ask, "What would you say if your flight was delayed?" If you're preparing for a job interview, ask, "Tell me about a technical challenge you solved." Give yourself a real reason to retrieve the language.
And your first answer does not need to be impressive. It can be short. For example, this week I'm finishing a report. Then add one detail. I need to send it by Friday. Then add a feeling or problem. I'm a little worried because I still need to check the data.
That's a useful speaking pattern. Answer, detail, feeling, or problem. I visited my friend. We had dinner downtown. It was nice because we hadn't seen each other for months.
The second reason you may understand English but struggle to speak is time pressure. During listening practice, you can pause, replay, use subtitles, or think quietly. Real conversation keeps moving. You may feel that you must answer immediately.
But native and confident speakers don't always answer immediately. They use expressions to buy some time. That means they use a short phrase to create a few extra seconds for thinking.
You can say, "Let me think for a second." You can also say, "That's an interesting question," or "I haven't thought about that before." These are not empty phrases. They help you remain part of the conversation while you organize your answer.
In a professional setting, you might say, "Let me consider that for a moment." It sounds calm and thoughtful. In a casual conversation, "Give me a second," is more relaxed.
Think about the last time you went blank in English. Did you truly have no answer, or did you believe you had to answer too quickly?
That's an important question. Sometimes the problem is not missing knowledge. The problem is that we don't give our knowledge enough time to appear. So this week, when someone asks you a question, try taking one quiet breath. Then use a phrase such as, "Let me think for a second." A 2-second pause may feel long to you, but to the other person, it usually feels completely normal.
And if they can't wait 2 seconds, that may be their conversation problem, not your English problem.
There is another major reason people freeze. They're trying to create a perfect sentence before they say the first word.
I understand that desire, especially at work. If you are presenting an idea or speaking to a manager, accuracy matters.
It does matter, but I would gently challenge the idea that accuracy must come before communication. If you wait until every word is perfect, you may never enter the conversation. Sometimes you need to begin with an imperfect sentence and improve it as you speak.
I partly agree, but there are situations where one wrong word can create confusion. Technical discussions, medical information, safety instructions, precision can be important.
That is a fair counterpoint. I am not suggesting that people should guess when accuracy is essential. You can slow down, confirm information, or say, "I want to make sure I explain this correctly." The misunderstanding is believing that every casual conversation requires the same precision as a safety procedure.
That makes sense. If someone asks what you did over the weekend, no one is measuring your grammar with laboratory equipment.
Hopefully not. Perfectionism adds pressure because you begin monitoring yourself while you're speaking. You think, was that tense correct? Did I pronounce that word properly? Should I use a different adjective? Your attention moves away from your message and toward every possible mistake.
A professional I know experienced this during team meetings. He understood his colleagues clearly and had valuable technical ideas, but he rarely spoke up. By the time he had prepared a perfect comment in his mind, the team had moved to another topic.
What helped him?
He stopped trying to deliver complete mini presentations. Instead, he practiced entering the discussion with one short sentence. "I'd like to add something." That sentence gave him a place in the conversation. Then he could explain his idea step by step.
That is such a useful strategy. Begin before your entire answer is ready. You might say, "I think there are 2 issues here." Now everyone knows the direction of your answer, and you have a moment to organize the 2 issues.
Or say, "My first thought is," that phrase is helpful because it allows your idea to be unfinished. You're sharing an initial response, not making a final declaration.
Here are 3 natural ways to answer when you're uncertain. The simple version is, "I'm not sure, but I think." This works well in everyday conversation.
A friendly conversational version is, "I could be wrong, but my guess is." You can use that when discussing a movie, a plan, or something you do not know completely.
A professional version is, "Based on what I've seen, I would say." This sounds careful and evidence-based. It is useful in meetings and job interviews.
Notice that none of those expressions makes you sound weak. They make the level of your certainty clear. That's a communication skill, not an English failure.
Our third teaching point is to learn language in chunks. A chunk is a group of words that commonly appear together, such as, from my point of view, the main reason is, or what I mean is.
I used to think learning more individual vocabulary was always the answer. If you can't speak, just learn more words. But that advice is incomplete.
Vocabulary size can be a real limitation, especially for beginners. However, many intermediate learners already know enough words for ordinary conversations. Their challenge is connecting those words quickly.
But chunk reduces the number of decisions you need to make. Instead of choosing each word separately, you retrieve one familiar group. What I mean is arrives as one unit.
Then you add your idea. What I mean is, we need more time. What I mean is, I understood the instructions differently. What I mean is, I want to help, but I'm not available tonight.
Chunks can also help you recover when a sentence isn't working. You can stop and say, "Let me put that another way." Then explain the idea with simpler language.
A shy learner told me that this phrase changed how she felt about mistakes. Previously, if her sentence became confusing, she thought she had failed. After learning, "let me put that another way," she realized she could repair the sentence.
That's something fluent speakers do all the time. They start an idea, notice that it is unclear, and try again. Fluency doesn't mean producing perfect sentences without interruption. It includes knowing how to continue after a problem.
Our fourth point is that repetition works best when it includes personal meaning. Shadowing, where you listen to a sentence and repeat it, can improve rhythm and help your mouth become comfortable with English. But repeating someone else's sentences is not the complete solution.
I might disagree slightly. I think shadowing can be extremely powerful.
It can be. I'm saying that it may not fully prepare you to create your own answer. After repeating, "I had a busy weekend," change it. Say, "I had a quiet weekend," or "I had a busy morning because I took my children to school."
So the sequence is listen, repeat, change, personalize.
Yes, personalization forces your mind to retrieve and rearrange language. That begins turning passive English into active English.
This is especially useful for learners with limited study time. Consider a parent who listens to English during the drive to work, but rarely has time for formal lessons. Listening improves comprehension, but speaking doesn't automatically happen.
That parent could choose one sentence from the audio, repeat it, and create two personal versions. It might take only 3 minutes.
For example, the original sentence is, "I'm trying to manage my time better." The personal versions could be, "I'm trying to exercise more often," and "I'm trying to spend less time on my phone."
There's one more barrier we should discuss: fear of other people's reactions. Sometimes you know what to say, but you fear that someone will judge your accent, ask you to repeat yourself, or notice a grammar mistake.
A job candidate once told me that he could answer interview questions easily when practicing alone. During the actual interview, he tried to sound advanced. His answers became long and he lost his main point.
What was the turning point for him?
He recorded himself answering each question in 1 minute. Then he practiced a simple structure: main answer, short example, result. He also gave himself permission to use familiar words. His English didn't become dramatically more advanced in 1 week, but his answers became clearer.
That story highlights an important truth. Speaking confidently doesn't mean using the most sophisticated vocabulary available. It means communicating your meaning while staying present in the conversation.
Maybe you have experienced this too. When you speak alone, your English feels available. When another person listens, part of your attention moves towards their face and their possible opinion.
Try asking yourself, am I trying to communicate or am I trying to prove that my English is perfect? That reflection can reduce unnecessary pressure.
And remember our library. Fear doesn't remove the books. It simply makes them harder to locate. Short, repeated, low-pressure conversations help you learn the route to the shelves.
We have talked about understanding the problem. Now, let's make the useful language easier to retrieve. Let's take a vocabulary and phrase tour through some of the expressions we have used. Our first phrase is go blank. When your mind goes blank, you suddenly cannot remember what you wanted to say or do.
You can say, my mind went blank during the interview. Notice the pattern. Your mind goes blank in the present and went blank in the past. Another example is, I knew her name, but I went blank when I introduced her.
The second expression is freeze up. It means becoming unable to speak or act because you feel nervous, afraid, or surprised. You might say, I freeze up when I have to speak in front of a large group.
Or, he knew the answer, but he froze up when the teacher called on him. We often use freeze up for stressful moments. It's more emotional than simply forgetting something.
Our third expression is on the tip of my tongue. We use it when we almost remember a word, name, or piece of information. It feels very close, but we cannot say it yet.
For example, his name is on the tip of my tongue. You can also say, I know the English word for this. It's on the tip of my tongue. We usually use the pattern, something is on the tip of my tongue.
The fourth phrase is put something into words. This means expressing a thought or feeling through language. You might say, I understand the idea, but I can't put it into words.
In a different situation, someone might say, it's difficult to put into words how grateful I am. The pattern is put something into words or simply put it into words. It's useful when the idea or emotion is clear inside you but difficult to express.
Next is buy some time. In conversation, this means creating a little extra time before you must answer or decide. Let me think for a second can buy you some time.
Outside conversation, you might say, we asked for an extension to buy some time. The pattern is buy someone some time or buy some time. It does not involve actually purchasing time.
Our sixth phrase is get the words out. This means managing to say something, especially when speaking feels difficult. I was nervous, but I finally got the words out.
Another example is, she was so surprised that she couldn't get the words out. We often use it when emotion, stress, or uncertainty makes speaking difficult.
Our seventh expression is speak up. It can mean speaking more loudly, but it also means expressing an opinion instead of remaining silent. The context tells us which meaning is intended.
Could you speak up? I can't hear you means speak more loudly. But I had an idea, so I decided to speak up during the meeting means I chose to share my opinion.
Our eighth expression is fall back on. This means using something reliable when your first plan is difficult or unavailable. A learner might fall back on simple vocabulary when a more advanced word disappears.
For example, I forgot the word exhausted, so I fell back on very tired. In another context, if the train is canceled, we can fall back on our original plan and drive. The pattern is fall back on something.
And falling back on simpler English is not a failure. If you forget furious, say very angry. If you forget purchase, say buy. Communication continues.
Our ninth phrase is let me put that another way. You use it when you want to explain your idea again with different words.
For example, the schedule is too ambitious. Let me put that another way. We don't have enough time to complete everything. In a personal conversation, you could say, I'm not upset with you. Let me put that another way. I just need some time alone.
Our final expression is my first thought is. This introduces an initial opinion that may develop or change. My first thought is that we should test the simpler option.
Or, my first thought is to stay home, but I'm open to other ideas. The pattern is, my first thought is, followed by a complete idea. It's useful when you want to contribute without pretending that your answer is final.
Let's use some of these expressions in guided speaking practice. We'll begin with a sentence you can use when you need time. Let me think for a second. My first thought is...
Say it aloud with us. Let me think for a second. My first thought is...
Now imagine someone asks, what is one skill you want to improve? You could answer, let me think for a second. My first thought is that I want to improve my public speaking.
Here's a simpler variation. Let me think. I'd like to improve my writing. This version is direct and works well in casual conversation.
Here's a professional variation. Let me consider that for a moment. Based on my recent experience, I'd like to strengthen my presentation skills. This version is useful in a job interview or workplace conversation.
And here's an honest, reflective variation. I haven't thought about that before, but I'd probably choose time management. This sounds natural when the question is unexpected.
Now, personalize it. What is one skill you want to improve? Begin with, "Let me think for a second," and give your real answer. Take a short moment and say it aloud.
If your answer was not perfect, leave it alone for now. The goal was to retrieve the language and get the words out. You can improve it during your second attempt.
That brings us to your listener challenge. Choose one everyday question and answer it aloud for 60 seconds. You might choose, "How was your day?" "What are you working on?" Or, "Why are you learning English?"
Do the same 60-second answer once a day for 3 days. Don't memorize every word. Keep the main idea, but allow the language to change. Your single challenge is to make that one answer easier to retrieve each day.
To support that challenge, let's build a small action plan. The first step is to choose one question that connects to your real life. A real question is more useful than a random textbook topic.
The second step is to collect 3 flexible chunks for your answer. For example, the main reason is, one example is, and what I learned was. Write them down, but practice saying them without reading.
The third step is to record a short voice note. Speak for 1 or 2 minutes. Don't restart every time you make a mistake. If you lose your sentence, say, "Let me put that another way," and continue.
The fourth step is to listen once and choose only one thing to improve. Maybe your main idea was unclear. Maybe you repeated the same word too often. Don't try to repair 10 problems at the same time.
The fifth step is to reuse part of that answer in a real interaction. You could speak to a classmate, colleague, friend, tutor, or online conversation partner. Even one sentence counts.
I like that these steps are small. Learners sometimes create a plan that requires an hour of speaking every day. Then life becomes busy, they miss 2 days, and the entire plan disappears.
5 focused minutes can be more valuable than an unrealistic 1-hour plan. Consistency teaches your mind that English speaking is a normal activity, not an emergency.
Before we finish, let's return to the question at the center of this episode. Why do I understand English but can't speak?
First, understanding relies heavily on recognition, while speaking requires fast retrieval. Your English may be in your mental library, but you need practice finding it.
Second, real conversation creates time pressure. Use phrases such as, "Let me think for a second," to buy some time. A short pause does not mean you are failing.
Third, perfectionism can stop you from entering the conversation. Start with one clear sentence. You can add details, correct yourself, or put the idea another way as you continue.
Fourth, learn useful chunks instead of depending only on individual words. Expressions such as, "my first thought is," and "what I mean is," give your ideas a familiar starting point.
Fifth, move from repetition to personalization. Listen to a useful sentence, repeat it, change it, and connect it to your own life.
And finally, create regular, low-pressure opportunities to speak. You don't need to empty the entire library in one conversation. You only need to practice finding a few useful books more quickly.
Here's our question for you. In which situation do you understand English but find it difficult to speak? At work, in class, during interviews, or in everyday conversations?
Share your answer in the comments and, if possible, use one phrase from today's episode. You could write, "I usually freeze up when," or "I find it difficult to put my thoughts into words when."
Be patient with yourself. The pause between understanding and speaking is not proof that you can't speak English. It's a sign that your active speaking ability needs its own kind of practice.
If this episode helped you, please like it, share it with another English learner, and subscribe to Beyond English Class.
Continue practicing with another episode, and remember that every short answer, voice note, and real conversation create a clearer path to your words.
Your English is already growing inside you. Keep retrieving it, keep using it, and let small, consistent practice turn understanding into confident speech.